How to keep going when things feel grim. Hello, I'm Shirella. One time I sat there in a parking lot of our local college and I was just noticing this flag that had the logo of the college that was attached to a pole, and there were several of these flags throughout the parking lot. And as I just stared at this flag, I noticed that some of the edges were really frayed, like they had just been beating in the wind for years on end, over and over. The flags were just beaten on the edges. As I got closer towards the school, the flags were more intact. And I thought, I wonder how many years that flag, especially the one that was mostly torn up, had been beaten around. Makes me think about life. Sometimes we just get beaten around. The wind blows, we just keep getting this beating, like the water onto a lighthouse where the waves crash up against the lighthouse, and it just goes over and over, same process. Think about our heart and our lungs that are always going, always beating, always breathing, never stopping, or we die. Or I think about maybe people in my life, or think of people who you know who are a solid presence. They're just always there. They're there for you. They are sturdy. They are the Rock of Gibraltar. They're just always there. So what do you do when you get a beating with either your health or your finances or your relationships? What do you do after just having this continual beating? I don't know about you, but sometimes when something in one of these areas gets thrown off, a simple ingrown toenail can just push me over the edge. It's just too much. I just can't handle it. Also, I find that where you are, the stage in your life, seems to make a difference too. I feel like I've been in a midlife crisis for like 10 years now. And I just keep wondering, when will my life begin? That's from Tangled. Yet really the truth is, life is what we're doing in the moments where we wait for it to begin, right? It's like it's already happening. But anyway, so what kind of perspective can we have when it just feels like we're getting we're getting beaten upon beaten? What do you do? Well, something that I like to realize is that in the law of polarity, where you have 50% of one thing this way and 50% of this thing this way, we might call it good or bad, we might call it opposites, we might call it the yin and yang, just the different edges, the different balances of life, that after one, we're likely to get the other. So after the storm, we're likely to get the rainbow. After you've hit rock bottom, the only place left is up. You have the ebb and the flow of the ocean, back and forth. You have the ups and the downs. It never is just down, 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 and never up. And it's never just up, 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 and never down. So just having a perspective to know that in one way or another, something's going to happen in the other direction for a particular reason, which I will get to in just a few moments. So I remember reading in a book called The Peacegiver by Terrell, I can't remember last name, Terrell something. In this story, it's an analogy of this guy who's trying to get to a specific location, kind of like his little promised land, his happy place that he's trying to get to. And after he walks through this desert, which is kind of like the beating that can happen in our lives, he comes up after just being exhausted to these two boulders standing in the way. And he thinks, I can't do this. There's no way I can get past these boulders. I've already made it through the dry, hot desert. I cannot get through these boulders. I have to push them over to be able to get through it. Well, with this analogy, when something seems insurmountable, if you just turn around and walk away from it, you'll never know the limits of what you could do. It's like they say that when you're in water, how deep do you know it is unless it's over your head? How much do you realize you can do until you're actually in that situation? When I come up to boulders in my life, there's two possibilities. One, it really is an indication that I'm trying to do too much. I just really shouldn't try to push over this boulder. Just stop. And now I know that I have to tune in with my spirit and God's spirit to know, is this a stopping boulder? Or is this two? The second thing is that it's testing your desire for how bad you want this thing. And if you can get to where you can say, oh, I can push through this boulder, I can do it. I know I can. And you summon the courage and the resources to be able to do this thing, and you're all in. This is an absolute 100% yes. And this is what happens in this book. He goes to push open these huge boulders because he's ready to get to the other side, no matter what, even through the desert that he's been through. He pushes through these huge boulders, and they just glide open, easy as pie. And he's able to see his promised land, his final dream. And he's like, what? That was so easy. I didn't realize it would just be take my pushing through it. But he had to want it bad enough. He had to decide that he wasn't going to turn around and say, okay, it's too much, can't do it. He's like, I want it bad enough. And he pushed, and they just, as if on wings of oil, I don't know, they just glided open, easy, easy. And that helps me to realize we have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow, or next week, or next year, or in 10 years. We can guess. I can guess that I'm going to wake up tomorrow and follow my same predictable pattern. You really have no idea what is ever going to happen. I know that with the 2020 coronavirus pandemic, none of us knew that next week we were going to wake up on a Friday and church was going to be closed and schools were going to be closed and jobs were canceled, and we were ready to have all the fun. I had a huge year of fun with my family, hiking and exploring, and no pressure life. Woke up whenever I wanted to, ate whatever I wanted to. We had so much fun that year. And you just never know when you're going to get an off year like that, which some people thought was terrible. And to my introverted family, we thought it was fabulous. Watch movies, have home church. It was great. You just really have no idea when anything's going to happen. So if you don't know, you might as well just have faith that something wonderful is right around the corner. That it's going to be easy to push against those two boulders, and they just glide open, and there is the thing that you want. Here's the thing too about this. You could either sit here and you can worry all day long that something bad's going to happen. Worry, worry, worry all day long, and your health will suffer. You'll get diseases. You'll have body dysfunction all over the place. Or you can do the other side and wish and dream that everything's happening so perfectly, and that this next thing is going to be the thing that just makes your life so much more better. If you're in that mindset of, oh, I can't wait for the next wonderful thing to happen, you're going to be living the good life without even really living it. So you can either live the worry life of everything's going to be terrible, or just say, hey, something's great is around the corner. Understanding that there will be ups and downs, of course, as there is for everything, but to have faith in a God who wants you to have happiness. And so then this comes down to the purpose of why we would have those doors gliding open, or what it is that the good and the bad have for us that we need. And that is one purpose of our coming to earth life is for our spirit to grow. Our spirit needs the experiences, the adventures, the misfortunes, the understanding of light and dark, so that it can grow and become something more and be able to return to our Heavenly Father. I call it light experiments, whereas we have some moments of light and we recognize them, and some moments of not so light and we want to restore the light. So we seek after the things that create light, and we are intentionally driving towards those things that we know are going to fill ourselves with the light that our spirit needs to be able to thrive and become more godly. And then all of this is about timing as well. So I love this quote: God is never in a hurry and never a moment too late. So if we're trying to push things, we're trying to force things, we're trying to just push that boulder that just has to open, and we didn't realize it might be able to glide open, or we didn't realize it was going to be super tough. When the time is right, the boulders just open right up. Just like with God, who is on time every time, and not in a rush, but never too late. If we can trust in that timing with God, then those boulders glide right open. So remember, when things feel grim, 3 things. Life has polarity. It's up and downs, and when it feels really down, remember it's going to go back up. Also, our spirit's purpose is for growth and progression, and we need these experiences to push those limits of the spirit. And thirdly, timing. Timing is everything. We might think that we want to be God, but God knows best for us. So trust in the timing. If you like self-care and ways to have a happier and more understanding life, you might like my program that is about all-around better health for your physical health, eating better, moving your body more, and getting better self-care like we've been talking about here with being able to have better mental health. And so if you would like that program, go to www.honeydewhealthin91.com.